be listening to a talk. It's a motivational talk. I am so out of place here.
I'm Charlie Linville. I was born and raised in Boise, Idaho. Never say I can't. My entire life, somebody's always told me what I couldn't do. On my first deployment, we lost 16 guys in my platoon, and I realized that if I did another deployment, my number might be next. So I switched to explosive ordnance disposal. If you don't know what explosive ordnance disposal is, you can see the picture behind me. I'm the guy that goes down and takes apart bombs. What a better job than getting shot at than going to take apart bombs, right? At least that's what I told my mom. I was like, no, Mom. That's going to be better. I'm going to know where they're at. This next clip is just kind of what it's like on a daily basis. Every time we find an ID. Mind you, I took about anywhere from 10 to 20 IDs per day while I was in Afghanistan.
Burn your hole! Burn your hole! Burn your hole!
On January 20th, about 2:22 in the afternoon, this is what I look like. I know it's 2:22 because I can read it on my watch. But this is the attitude I've kind of had about my life in general. That even though I've just stepped on an ID, my foot's severely crushed. You can see that my fingers that you have here, that's the same hand. My fingers are just kind of dangling in my glove. I'm smiling because my partner's taking the photo, but we always promised each other that we'd take a happy snap. To stuck in a wheelchair, not being able to do basic needs for myself, daily activities that I couldn't do. I couldn't bathe myself, I couldn't take care of my kids, I couldn't chase them around. I was no longer a Marine, I no longer had purpose to drive, I was lost. I was depressed, and I was losing a battle to PTSD that I didn't even know. Because honestly, I wasn't happy, I was depressed, I was about to be divorced, and soon after I would have been dead. And I figured out that happiness was my choice. And it wasn't just my choice, it was kind of spreading that message to the other 200 amputees that I was recovering in the hospital with. You can see in the photo behind me, this is about 2 hours after I had my leg amputated. I couldn't have been happier. I knew that the direction of my life was headed in the right place. 2 months after this photo was taken, I ran Olympic triathlon. About 4 weeks later, they gave me my prosthetic, and like I said, I ran a triathlon, and that orthopedic surgeon was at the finish line, and she hugged me, and she came up and she told me I will never, ever tell my patients what they are capable of ever again. I challenge everybody to draw a line through the word. I've got 2 daughters. I make my daughters do push-ups every time they say I can't. They come up and say, Daddy, I can't do it. No. I set a goal with the Heroes Project.
Charlie Linville hopes to be the first combat amputee to reach the summit of Mount Everest.
I've gone on hikes in the Sawtooth, but that's obviously nowhere near Everest. But being a dumb Marine, sure, why not? I accepted the mission to climb Mount Everest. My mom's first answer was no. Literally first no. I go, Mom, this is just a courtesy call. Like, I promise you, I'm gonna be okay. She goes, no. I said, well, you think about it, and I'm still going. But I love you. But in all seriousness, the Heroes Project found me through my success in triathlons.
You have to find the right mountain for the right injured veteran, and Everest is the big one.
He chose Charlie Linville for the challenge.
1 in 4 people that set off from the summit can die if you try to summit Everest. And I already made it back from Iraq. I've already made it back from Afghanistan. My mother was going to kill me twice if I didn't make it back from Everest. So I put everything I had into being successful. And what I learned along the way was that my change didn't happen overnight, but what I was doing with my peers was inspiring them. You can't believe it. Everything I've seen in combat now, it's like I'm in this rescue operation where 16 Nepalese Sherpas just died. Literally I was watching the bodies long line off the mountain, thinking, what am I doing here? Like, I've got 2 daughters, I'm alive, I can make a home and have a great life with them. What am I doing here? But through all of it, what I figured out that I still had so many issues that I was working out from everything that had happened. from my time in the Marine Corps and everything I've seen and gone through that I needed Mount Everest. I mean, we all have our own Mount Everest, but I literally physically needed that mountain. 2 years in a row, I've now been on Everest for the 2 deadliest days in Everest history. Into Thin Air, the book a lot of people have heard about or read, the movie was recently about, was the 3rd deadliest. I've been there for the 2 deadliest days. They had these little kids come in. I was like the robot man as I went through the villages. I mean, literally everybody would clear out and follow me and talk and poke and kick and I had a couple kids throw rocks at it because they just weren't sure about what it was. And in mountaineering, you climb high and you sleep low. So you climb high and then you run back down the mountain and you sleep for the night. And you climb higher and you do the same. So people ask, how long does it take to climb Everest? Like a week? Yeah, a week. No, it takes 2 months. Living at this altitude is extremely difficult. I lived at 21,000 feet for 6 weeks. This is the shot, this is the moment that it was like, okay, it's happening. Everest isn't fun. If you think about the hardest thing you've ever done in your life, it's not fun. People ask, was it amazing? Like, no, I wanted to turn around and walk back down the mountain every minute of the day. It's awful. That's what mountaineering is, it's awful. But every step you take leads you to a new place, and in my head it was like every step I took, this is the highest I've ever been in my life. This is the highest I've ever been in my life. And so I just kind of got into this mantra. In the photo behind me, the tents you see are at 23,000 feet. You can see how tiny these tents look at 23,000 feet. I really love this photo because it puts into perspective just where you are in life and how small we all are. It's really one step at a time. On May 19th, 2016, I was the first Westerner to summit, and I also became the first combat wounded amputee to ever summit Everest. When I got to the top of the world, people were like, what was it like? It was amazing. I raised my arms up, I let out a big yell, a scream. I couldn't believe that that's where I was at. I couldn't believe that I was able to stand on the roof of the world. I mean, so few have done it. And, oh, by the way, it gets to about, you can count on one hand how many people have done it as an amputee. That's the company I'm now in. But it wasn't about that. I looked immediately to the sky and I started talking to those that I served with, that I knew have given their life for this country. Because that's what it represented to me. It was an end. It was an end to all the pain, everything that I had gone through. Because I could now leave it. I took, has anybody seen the black bracelets with the names of fallen soldiers? Have we all seen those? There's black bracelets, and I took one with all their names on it. Dug a hole, buried it, said thank you to each and every one of them for giving their life for me, for us. And I said, I'll see you soon. I took a photo. All celebrations. The last photo I took is this photo right here. You'll notice I have 2 little girls' footprints. Because of the support of not only individuals to help me get there, but of my family to understand that I needed this. My daughters were very important and inspirational in this entire journey. I pulled out their feet, as you can see. I put them on the top of the world. I stood next to them so that my girls and I could stand on the top of the world together. And when they're older, I'm going to cut them out, I'm going to frame them with this photo, write a quote to them so that they can be strong, empowered women for the rest of their life and understand that it's not just what I was capable of, but it's what they'll be capable of, it's what everybody's capable of, and they'll have this inspiration for the rest of their life. Don't ever tell yourself you can't do something, and keep inspiring people in your community. Never say I can't. Thank you.
I met somebody that climbed Mount Everest. I don't know, it feels like meeting an astronaut. This talk was about 40 minutes long. If there's enough interest and shares on this, I'll upload a whole entire video. Alright, so if you like this, share it.